great to be back in the Gold Coast and presenting a West Australian gold story. I started my career in West Australian goldfields at the School of Mines in Kalgoorlie. Went around the world chasing crazy commodities and crazy jurisdictions, and it's great to be home back in the goldfields. This is the Gum Creek Gold Project. It was the previously operated Gidgee gold mine. You can see we've got extensive open pit mining by the previous owners and a large mineralised system. We've got 2.3 million ounces, as Stewie said. There's already been 1 million ounces mined by the previous owners, and we're extending all of our open pits at the moment. We're spending $20 million on exploration, 80,000 metres over the next 6 to 12 months. So it's a really aggressive exploration period. But more importantly, we're going to restart this mine and take advantage of these amazing gold prices that we're seeing in the current environment. So we're looking at two main mining areas, the Gidgee Shear Zone, which has 1 million ounces at over 2 grams, and Howards, which is 250,000 ounces at about 1 gram. Most importantly, our resource is 70% indicated, so well-defined mineral resource, and our feasibility study is due very soon. And that will just be focused on free milling, open pit mining. But on top of that, we also have a number of underground opportunities, which we'll show you today, at Kingfisher, Swan, and other undergrounds. So we're looking at not just the open pits to start with, but then ultimately we'll go underground on some of these ore bodies. And that's what we're drilling at the moment. We're also drilling along strike of the existing open pit mines. We can see at least 7 to 10 years of open pit mining, and we'd like to bring in some underground mines as soon as possible as well. This is an existing mining lease. We also own the pastoral lease. We have existing infrastructure, and there's also other mills within the region. So 6 operating gold mills within 150 kilometres. So it's a prolific gold mining region. So out to the west of us, we have Ramelius at Mount Magnet, West Gold, and Wiluna out to the east, as well as Leinster. We have the Agnew, owned by Goldfields, and Bellevue Gold. So multi-million ounce gold systems all around us, and we sit right in the middle with an 80-kilometre underexplored greenstone belt. So you can see the previous mining was through the 90s and into the 2000s, and unfortunately the previous owners have missed the last 20 years of gold price appreciation. So this mine operated at gold prices less than $1,000 an ounce. And you can see they were mining quite high grades. So at today's gold prices, we'll be dropping the grades right down. We'll be looking at about 100,000 ounces per annum. So you can see it was a very consistent operator, particularly when it was in the open pit mining phase. So we're going back to where it all started, and that's oxide, open pit, free milling, and then we'll look at the underground opportunities as well. So we sit right in the middle of Western Australia, right in the middle of what I'm calling the golden triangle between Meekatharra, Wiluna and Sandstone. We're going to build a new processing plant, so we think that it's time to build a new processing facility. Even though there are 6 operating mills in the region, they will be filled over the coming years, so we think it's time to build another. The previously operated Gidgee mill sits right in the middle of our 80-kilometre greenstone belt. But we'll be just focusing on 2 mining areas, being Gidgee Shear Zone and Howards, to start with in this current feasibility study. Outside of that feasibility study is another 30 deposits that won't be included in the numbers that you'll see over the coming weeks. So that's the existing mill. Unfortunately, it's a bit small, so we'll be getting rid of that, and we'll be building our 2.4 million tonne per annum CIL plant out to the left of the screen. And then to the right is that Gidgee Shear Zone, which is our flagship ore body. Within Gidgee Shear Zone, we have Swan and Swift. And then along that Gidgee Shear Zone to the south, we have Kingfisher, where we currently have 2 diamond drill rigs operating at Kingfisher. We have an existing camp. We've just upgraded the camp. We've got about 48 beds operating at the moment. So we're full with drillers and geologists. Everyone's quite happy. We're using the existing airstrip, so we're flying people in and out. And then down at Kingfisher is where we're currently drilling with the diamond drill rig. So we've got 2 diamond drill rigs operating. We've got a RC rig that's stepping through the 80-kilometre belt. Plenty of excitement around exploration. So this is that Swan and Swift ore body. It's quite a wide mineralised system, over 1.3 kilometres wide. This will ultimately be one large open pit. There'll be about 1 million ounces just in this mining area here. And right next to that flagship ore body will be our 2.4 million tonne per annum CIL plant. So conventional, free milling, simple metallurgy. We're trying to make this as simple as possible. It is off the shelf, bread and butter, WA gold mining. And that's what really attracted me to this opportunity. So zooming out, that Gidgee shear zone, it's about a 7-kilometre shear zone. We've sort of got these 3 parallel trends, and the RC rig's just stepping along strike and just filling the gaps in. It is like shooting fish in a barrel, just stepping along strike of known ore bodies. We're adding gold at $20 an ounce, which is an amazing return on investment at today's gold prices. So yeah, plenty of gold to be found just within the 2 kilometres of the proposed processing facility. If we zoom in underground on that Swan deposit, so this is our flagship asset, quite high grades amongst it. We want to try and bring the open pit down to about 300 metres. There will be some underground mining under Swan. You can see the previous owners went underground and they were chasing the higher grade veins. But we actually want to try and bring the open pit as low as possible. We'll mine through that previously mined underground, but you can see why they were chasing those veins. Quite high grades, a lot of visible gold through the system. This is a high grade mineralised quartz vein gold system. And then along strike where we're currently drilling is Kingfisher, also some high grades. Currently drilling the depth extents, it's plunging down in this direction. So we're pretty certain there'll be an underground mine here at Kingfisher, also chasing quite higher grades. So hopefully the assays will show some of these sorts of numbers over the coming weeks. So you can see there, we're quite confident that there'll be an underground at Kingfisher. The underground opportunities won't be included in this current feasibility study, which is due over the coming weeks. But what the undergrounds do is they'll displace the open pit feed. So open pit's currently running around 1.5 grams per tonne. The undergrounds run at 3 to 4 grams per tonne. By bringing in the undergrounds, we displace the open pits, we increase the ounce profile above the 100,000 ounce per annum run rate, and you bring forward MPV and gold in the early years of the mine plan. So that's why we're continuing to look for these underground opportunities, particularly at Kingfisher. The other mining area that will be included in the feasibility study is Howards. Howards is our satellite pit. Howards is a little bit different. It doesn't have previous open pit mining, and it is from surface, so it has a very low strip ratio, which allows us to minimise our pre-strip in the early years of the mine. So even though it's a lower grade, it's a much lower strip ratio and allows us to minimise our upfront capital requirements by bringing ore into the mill from day one. So the mining feasibility study, which will be out over the coming weeks, will just focus on the Gidgee Shear Zone and Howards. And then outside of that, we also have another ore body called Wilson's. Wilson's would require a concentrate. So this is a different type of mineralisation. Some would call it refractory, but it's very high grade. Wilson's can do about 50 to 60,000 ounces per annum. So what we could do is add a concentrator to our CIL plant, and then that would allow us to bring in Wilson's as an underground mine. If we were to mine Wilson's as well as the open pit mines, that would take us from 100,000 ounce per annum up to 150 to 160,000 ounce per annum. So Wilson's currently sits outside of our feasibility study, but it's a really exciting opportunity. And for a small incremental addition to the CIL plant, we could be mining at Wilson's and bringing this into the mine plan quite early also. So we're currently trading at about $80 to $90 per ounce. We are much further advanced than people realise. We are moving into the build phase over the coming months. A lot of our peers that are at similar stage of development are trading in the $200 to $300 per ounce range. So we think that we should be trading probably 2 times where we are at the moment. And there's a reason for that. This is a story that hasn't really been promoted yet. It's been around for a little while, but it's been sitting quite dormant until I sort of took on this role to really bring this story to the market. We believe that this is a story that really needs the capital markets to come along the journey with us. So we will be building a gold mine here. We will be producing about 100,000 ounces per annum, a minimum of 10 years. There's no reason why this mine would not be mining in 20 years' time. So once the market realises that this is a well-advanced gold mining production story, there's no reason why we wouldn't trade in line with some of our single asset producer peers who have circa $2 billion market caps. So in summary, 2.3 million ounces, and we're increasing those at the moment. We're adding ounces at $20 an ounce. We're putting $20 million into exploration. But more importantly, we're moving into the build phase. We will be producing gold bars over the coming years. We will then be re-rated to a producer status. And that'll all be in the feasibility study, which is coming out in the coming weeks. In that study, we've made it as simple as possible. We're just focused on open pit mining and free milling with a big focus on oxide. We're currently drilling at Kingfisher. We're about to start drilling at Swan. Some very high-grade intercepts in historic drilling in those particular ore bodies. So look out for the exploration results over the coming weeks and months. We have the existing mining lease, so it does minimise our permitting process. We want to be permitting this as quickly as possible, pushing this into production, making hay while the sun shines. This is some of the best capital markets I've ever seen from a debt and equity perspective. This will be funded. We have major shareholders that make sure that we won't be diluting our shareholders along the journey. And we're led by a team that has done this many times before around the world, particularly in Africa and Australia. So we have the expertise to build mines. We've done it all around the world. Now we're doing it in our backyard in the best gold price environment and the best capital markets we've seen, if ever. And really excited to be moving Horizon Gold into the phase of one of the next gold producers on the ASX. Thank you for your time.